What's up, everyone? It's Chicks in the Office with Rhea and Fran, giving you that Friday energy on a Wednesday. As always, this is our Bachelorette recap. Just kidding. It's our Bachelor recap day.
Bachelor.
And it's the second to last one. Unfortunately, Trent couldn't be with us today.
Yeah. Don't kill us, guys. We're so sorry.
Golfing. Like, whatever that is. He's golfing, so that's
He's doing
cool.
his other podcast.
He's doing his other podcast. It's pretty important.
Yeah,
golf.
they got like big guests and shit.
Yeah, that whole thing. It's his birthday, though, so happy birthday to Trent. It would have been great to have him here in this seat to celebrate his birthday with him, but unfortunately, we don't have
with
that.
His other friends.
He's with his other friends, whatever. We're going to move on, but we have someone else to take Trent's place. Kelly Keegs. She's not as good as Trent, but she'll do.
I'm really not, and I know that people hate when it's me and not Trent. I know that, and I swear I will
They
try
hate
to
when
make
it's
this.
us and it's not
I
Trent
will try
either,
to make
so.
this the best.
Either way, it was a
lose.
Kelly, either way, it was a lose-lose. Because
It's
either way, it
always
was like
gonna be
we do it without Trent, and people are pissed. We do it
Right,
with
right.
someone else, and it's like, oh, it's not Trent.
Still pissed.
Exactly.
I'm willing to take the brunt of the hate as the Trent replacement.
Good, because you're going to get it.
I know I'm gonna get it. I sure know that, ladies. But I am happy to be here. I will say that
We are happy to be
here.
here. Look, we are happy to have you too because we
Thank
have a
you.
great time doing cutting stems, the four of us.
Yes, we do.
And ideally, like you gotta mix it up, right? The podcast. If we did the podcast, all four of us, it would just be.
Oh, no, it'd be
It
chaotic.
would just
It'd be
be
too much.
absolute chaos.
No way. Could not do
I don't
it.
want anything to do with that.
No. No. The like 45 minutes or so we do on cutting
Yeah,
stuff
is enough.
more than enough.
It's
Yeah.
it's absolutely perfect. We're gonna get into
I'm in one of those, like, say something and then, like, big
and
laugh.
then laugh, big laugh. Rhea's getting big laughs from herself today. Giggle
I'm happy about it though.
City over
'Cause
there.
You big laughed at me and made me feel great. So
I have
keep big laughing.
no-
We got
Some
Matt
giggles
James
today.
sitting in that chair, just laughing at every comment.
That's a great question.
Great question. Great question.
Yeah, it's one of
Rhea,
those,
how
like,
are you feeling today?
Fran, that's a great question. You know what, Fran? While we're, going back and forth here, asking each other how we are, how are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm feeling good. I have another question for you.
Yep. Shoot it back my way. I'm ready. I'm open.
Pass the ball. Rhea, what are our favorite leggings?
Booty by Brabants!
Wow, that came with a dance move
that
and
was-
everything.
You were ready for that. I saw you gearing up for it too. Like
she
getting
was.
your
She
legs
literally,
out.
like, she was.
Oh, yeah.
She was. Shit. What's the word?
Teed
She's
up?
hiked,
No,
yeah, teed up.
No,
hiked.
you know when you. No, you gotta help me with this. You know when you. Choke up on the bat. Like you
Yeah,
were.
yeah,
you
yeah.
were choked
She's
up.
choked
Like
up
you
on
were
the bat.
way up high, ready for the swing. It came to me. But yeah, Booty by Brabants, our favorite leggings. We hope you guys are shopping. We hope you guys are getting a pair. They are just like amazing quality leggings, the best leggings you can find. They'll last you forever. They're durable and they're great to work out. They're great to work out in. They're great to just like wear every day anyway, work, athleisure, whatever it is. Sometimes you get dressed thinking you're going to work out and you put on the clothes and you don't actually work out, but you feel good wearing the clothes. That's what happens when you wear the Booty by Brabants leggings. They're one size fits all, which is great because I feel like eliminating the size factor is great because that can stress people out. I talked about in the last podcast. Sometimes you go into other workout clothes stores.
Boutiques.
Yeah, and you look at the size and you're like, oh my God, the sizes run different. You're not the normal size in this place that you are in another place. You don't have to worry about it. One size fits all. They also are committed to inclusivity and just women feeling their best. So they have their curvy line as well. You can check it all out on their website. It's just every woman, they wanted to create the universal legging that every woman should be wearing, and they succeeded. They really, really did. The bra tops also fantastic. The material is so
Fantastic.
great. Fantastic.
You love saying fantastic.
I do.
Love saying fantastic.
Fantastic's a great word.
I
Yeah,
like the
it
word
is.
fantastic as
Maybe-
well. I say it a lot.
And I also like a good Fran pun, so
Yeah.
maybe that's why I like it so much too. Yeah,
Fair, very fair.
Fantastic.
just like Franny Pack, love him.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I liked
Pack.
franchise the other day.
Yeah,
I said that to you.
Yeah,
That was a good
It's
one.
a good one. It's a good one, even though that's I
Yeah,
believe
rest
it's
in
been
peace to
revoked.
that. I don't mean to bring up a
it's
sore
been-
subject, but
it's-
that
yeah,
was a good name.
That has been revoked. If you pay attention to trivia here at the office. But anyway, get your leggings. The black Croco skin are probably the staple you got to have in your closet. They have so many fun colors, bright. neutrals, everything you would need. They have it. You can get these leggings. They are worth the investment. We swear by it. You can shop now for 15% off using code CHICKS at bootybybrabants.com. That's BOOTYBYBRABANTS.com. Use promo code CHICKS for 15% off. Go do it, you guys. They really are the best leggings. I got more coming. I ordered like 5 more sets. I really did. So
Fabulous.
Looking forward to it. All right. Fantasy Suites. How do we feel? The build up to Fantasy Suites, it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there.
It really was not there. It was the least sexy night of all time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel any sort of sexual excitement this time around.
No, wasn't arousing at all.
No,
Not
it
even
started
close.
off with Matt James and his dad having a serious conversation. Obviously, when we saw the trailer to this episode, we thought that Matt James was going to break down into tears for his dad showing up. We thought he got blindsided. We were like, how could the producers just bring his dad and not tell him? That's crazy. That's not what happened. It seemed like he knew his dad was there. They had a conversation about both of their childhoods. Matt's dad talked about growing up without a dad himself and how hard his childhood was, and Matt James was like, well, I can't relate to the situation you lived in, but I can relate to my situation not growing up with a dad. We have similar situations but different at the same time, need to understand each other. So that was kind of the conversation they were having, which I think was a good starting point to building their relationship.
You can't laugh about this.
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because
she's
I
stealing my
stole
lines.
Kelly's line.
Well, you got to redeliver it again.
Because I have such good points that it's just hard not to steal my
No,
lines.
I'm not. I'm obviously not laughing about what happened
No,
earlier
no.
today when we did the group chat. I said a line that I know Kelly said last night, and I was like, it just came out of my mouth, and I was like, I just stole Kelly's line, and then I just did it again, just right there. But I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Kelly, you said it was a great starting point to building their maybe new relationship.
For sure. He did say, I want you in my life. I want you in my children's life down the road. So it felt like a very personal conversation. I think I think a lot of people were talking about that on Twitter too, saying felt like we shouldn't have been watching that. Maybe that was something that shouldn't have been on camera. But at the end of the day, if that was Matt's decision to have that conversation on camera, I think we can respect that. And hopefully it was, because if it wasn't, then that's fucked. If he didn't really, that's a producer's idea, hey, we're gonna bring your dad, and you're gonna talk to him on camera, and he was like, okay, then that kind of sucks. But hopefully, it did seem like something he wanted to do. The way he spoke about it with all the women afterwards made it sound like, in order for me to get to this finish line here and potentially propose, I need to have that conversation with my dad, which he was able to do. And then I'll also read the tweets that he had last night where he had kind of talked about this even more. He's in Idaho right now. That guy is always you know how sometimes you see people's tag on their tweets. It's like, this tweet came from blank. Yeah. So his tweet last night came from Ketchum, Idaho. I think from his Instagram, he was skiing in Idaho or something. I'm not quite sure. But so he tweeted, he said, tonight's convo with my dad was hard to experience and is just as hard to watch all this time later, especially knowing the world is watching with me. I just wanted to say that too often we see dangerous stereotypes and negative depictions of black fathers in media, and they have consequences when presented without context. He then linked an article. You can read more about it. And he also said, all I hope is that people watch that conversation with nuanced care and also an understanding that there are real systemic issues at play. I'm so proud of myself for being vulnerable, and I'm so proud of my mother. I wouldn't be who I am without my dad. That's a fact. So I feel like it was a really good tweet, because there were definitely a lot of people who thought that conversation should not have been on this show, or the way that they have depicted Matt all season and haven't really given him any room to actually show himself and talk about his story. We've just seen drama from the women to then have this very serious moment and put it on TV. And like he said, it can be dangerous to have those conversations, and also without the context to understand where they're coming from, people could pass judgment about Matt's dad and things like that. So
for sure, I thought that this, and we were saying this last night, it's the first time, and you kind of said it just now, first time that we've really seen some serious strength. I think that people thinking maybe he didn't want to have this conversation or whatever. I think he very much did. And I think he went in there with a plan. Like, I think maybe when they suggested he talk to his father, maybe he didn't anticipate such a, an eye-opening discussion with him. But the way that he came in and the way that he carried himself, and he was like firm in what he was saying. He didn't back down. Because there was one point where his dad
and he was
emotional.
Kind of
like, there was one point where his dad was kind of like upset by Matt bringing it up, being like, you don't know how bad I had it, and started bringing up his own situation. And Matt still stayed strong though and was like, I know you had a bad situation, but we're talking about me right now. Like, I understand that maybe it comes from that, but he was very clear in wanting to make himself better for his own future relationships with people and just in life. I thought it was great.
No, I agree. I think he did a good job.
Yeah, he really did.
Yeah, I feel like, obviously, like I said before, that everyone was nervous about what this conversation was going to be like. But I thought, hopefully, it's a good thing going forward.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's the way that Matt spoke about it on these dates. He said it to every single one of the women. He said it to Michelle, Brie, Rachel, every single one at dinner. He said it in different ways each time, but that he had this conversation with his dad, and it was very important to him, and it was something he felt he needed to do to be able to connect more with the women and open up more about maybe some commitment issues and things that have made him into the man that he is now. So seeing him emotional, having that conversation, it was very real. It was very raw. And Matt has really given a lot to this show, like more than the show deserves.
He really has.
Like, he really has given more of himself over to the show, and the show has kind of like spit him out. Like, it's I coming to the end of it all and thinking about how like Matt was all season and everything he's done and the way he's handled himself and the way he's acted on the show and the way the narrative has now gone with this season. It's just like, boy, did Matt not deserve this for the way that he held himself and carried himself the whole time.
Yeah, it's been a pretty explosive season.
Yeah.
It really has been, and not necessarily in the way that we want it to be. And I love an explosive season when it's chock full of drama and like all kinds of ridiculousness.
Peter Weber.
Right.
Yes,
Like Peter
exactly.
Weber, like people will hate on Pilot Pete season, but it was explosive on the show.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
we got drama going down on the show that was interesting. It wasn't annoying like the drama this season. And we got a little mixture of both Peter with girls and also the girls fighting. Like it wasn't like this, and then we got Barb at the end. It was explosive in the show. Everything that is explosive is happening outside of the show.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this would just be a very normal season. If nothing happened outside the show, it would have been a normal season. Victoria was annoying. The girls were bullies. But I think it would just go on as like, okay, that was whatever.
If the fantasy suite's what we watched on Monday night, if this was just any other regular fantasy suite and we all didn't have some kind of idea of what was going down, like, it would be very run of the mill. Like, it's they were all
honestly,
very
it'd be boring.
standard dates.
Pretty boring.
I think it'd be boring as shit. Like, it really would not be. I thought this was the most boring fantasy suites I've ever seen. Like, there wasn't enough of like the over the top joking about how they're all going to hook up. That is my favorite part. I think it's so silly, and they like make it this like kitschy situation, but it's like, woo, they're having sex. Like, that's always the fantasy suite thing. And this time it's like, yes,
touched on really at
no,
all.
it really wasn't. And I get like the first hour was a really intense conversation with his dad, and then the second hour was a couple of like feel good, like calming dates. But we didn't really see the sex thing. I don't think we saw a lot of like clothes on the floor. Like, it was just
throughout the episode.
Yeah. There was, so Michelle had the first fantasy suite date, and they were in what they called Pennsylvania spa, like old, which is
Pennsylvania inspired spa.
Right.
I think is what she was saying.
From decades ago, like not even decades, hundreds of years ago.
It seems weird.
So they did like an oatmeal foot bath and then rubbed each other in butter. And
so weird.
But like
the butter thing, I really don't understand.
There
was
are
bizarre.
some moments
Imagine
where there's
butter
a little
getting into your.
Oh no.
No, that sounds awful. Also, the butter on your skin, like how I feel like that would seal your skin right up. Why are you putting butter on your skin and then going in like a milk bath? The milk's not going to get into your skin, right?
I don't know.
Butter is just going to put a huge wall up. It's like oil, basically. It just makes no. And I was thinking about it a lot last night. It makes no sense.
They looked very slick. That's all.
Super
That's
slick.
really all. They looked very slippery. Like it was
Super slippery.
Just that just kind of seemed the whole point of the date. And there's definitely some physicality between Matt and these women, but Matt is just a little bit more reserved. I think like it's not as he's was not as open to talking about like, all right, I have these women to myself. Like, what does that mean? What are we gonna, like there wasn't interviews of him being like talking about sex and talking about the importance of sex and things like that. It was just kind of like brushed under the rug, and it seemed more like the fantasy suites were just time alone for them to connect more. You know, he had that one little moment where he like hit Michelle on the booty with like something. Yeah, like she was like some, I don't know. It's just like
he's a little corny. Like he's a little bit like
is.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he is obviously a very attractive man. Yeah. But I think when it comes down to like the nitty gritty, he's a little awkward.
I think so too. Yeah. I also am thinking more about that date and just like what a fucking yeast infection. Like all I can think about is like the yeast infection.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Imagine it going into your, you know, I didn't finish the sentence.
That's what made me think of that. I was thinking more of like, for sex, monster. But you know, that would be a nightmare. And so, yeah, like just, there's no way that even if Matt James, super hot, if he like turns it on for me and I'm, you know, slathering myself in butter and oatmeal and milk, I'm like, I don't like the smell of all that, and it's going to give me a yeast infection.
Yeah, but I feel like also like sex would be had at the same time. You know what I mean?
Oh, it definitely would be.
You're talking yourself into that.
Right. You're like, oh my God, we're like covered in butter and milk, and we're all slimy. Like, all right, I'm kind of...
Yeah. And he is super hot.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it would happen, but I think I'd be too in my head, honestly. With all that stuff, like I could fuck around with some stuff, but like butter and oatmeal,
I guess
the
oatmeal like chunkiness is kind of a problem. But I feel like, I don't know, I'm just thinking about how this fantasy suite was just so different than what we've seen before. Like there just wasn't really, and that's fine. Like I'm not saying like, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, it makes it way more interesting. Like we want to know if they're having sex. Obviously, you can say that you don't care, and you're like, some people are like, that's disgusting. Why would you care if they were having sex? Because I want to know. I want to know.
It's crazy when
they're
people
calling
pretend
it
like they don't
fantasy
want to know.
suites. They're not sleeping with each other the entire season. Like I want to know if they have sex at the end. Sorry,
butter, not a good lubricant.
Oh, I wouldn't think so. I would think
very
it would,
bad.
If it starts, I mean, you know, whatever, it gets on its oil and your skin is warm. But if it hardens up at all, there's no friction there.
Very bad.
If I'm thinking in my head, there's no friction. That sounds like a nightmare.
No. Big really fat no to butter.
You're right though about the I forget what I was just about to say. Yeah, just the sex stuff.
Just
like
sex
in general. And the episode was just it was lackluster. It was not sexual in nature. Like, there was just not a. I love the word lackluster.
It was lackluster.
No, it was just I don't know.
Which is, and it's
literally,
but it's just very, very wholesome. It does, yes. It lacks lust.
It quite literally lacks.
I got a good one. Noah's choking over there. He literally choking.
Cackled.
Cackle. It's true though, because it really. And I said on Cutting Stems, it was very PG-13, and it felt that way watching it. I felt like I was watching
Aquamarine.
Like a romantic, like a romantic comedy that is PG-13, because their relationships are so sweet, and I feel like I love Michelle and Matt together, and they seem so sweet, and they seem like they have a connection. And Michelle says she's in love with Matt and everything. So there are moments where it's like, oh, this is so sweet, but the fantasy suite element of like the bedroom time was just not really there at all. And these women, Michelle was the first one because she went first, obviously, but she, said to Matt that she was in love with him, and I think he like kissed her and then said thank you, and then
which in itself is tough.
She like said it again in the morning, and he was like, thank you so much for sharing with me.
Oh, I hate that.
It's so hard.
Feeling.
And I was worried because I felt like, okay, if he says something different to the other women, then okay, there's probably going to be a clear winner. And I thought Rachel at the end, maybe he would say something to Rachel, but earlier on in the season is when we all saw Rachel say, I'm falling in love with you. And he was like, I'm falling for you too. And we were all like, since when?
Yeah.
So
like, when have
he
you guys
said
talked?
that to her so early on. And the other women are also in love with him. And he's like, thank you so much for sharing that with me.
Do you think that because he said that is why Rachel became so jealous when all the girls came back? I think that we can go into Michelle coming back from the fantasy suite date, which I thought was, she handled that perfectly.
Yeah.
The way that she handled
She's a gem.
Rachel's jealousy, I think was fantastic.
Yeah. You could sense it watching it too. Like it was awkward just watching them all sit there.
Yeah.
That is probably one of the more uncomfortable things that they make these women and men do on the show, is that after the fantasy suites now, they all go back to the same place. And I know that it's quarantine and they're all in the same place, but it's been happening more recently. I think they did it with Pete's season too. I feel like
they did.
Where it was
and
like all the women were staying in one place. So when they come back from the fantasy suite dates, they're walking into a room full of the other women, and you know, big smile on their face, like, yeah, date was good. Like,
they used to have their own
to talk about it to Rachel and Bree.
Yeah, they used to have their own. Definitely used to have their own rooms and stuff, or their own spaces, because they would be traveling. You know, they'd be like in Ireland or like fucking Italy, wherever they would be, and they would have like their own hotel rooms and stuff. So I don't think that they, until recently, started showing so much of that awkwardness. But yeah, it's really fucking awkward. And I think that Michelle did such a good job coming in and being like, oh, we had a great night. And I thought was so smart of her to kind of shift the attention away from the fact that she was just there. And she said, like, you guys are going to appreciate it so much. Like, you should really look forward to it. And then she said something like, I know, I can feel that you're upset by it, but like, just know it's great. You just look forward to it. Like, she was, I've never seen someone handle a situation so well.
She's very
I was
mature.
like honestly taking notes for if ever I need that for the future. Like, that was blown away. And then Rachel was kind of just like, okay. Like, she just pouted and was over, you know? And that's,
Rachel's like one of Michelle's students.
Adults.
Like Michelle treats
it's one
her
of those
like
things
one of
where
her students.
Rachel's like rolling her eyes at the moment, but later on probably thought about it and was like, yeah, she was 100% right.
For
like,
sure.
I definitely shouldn't have acted that way. But it's a life lesson, obviously. You know, you don't just, like, I can see myself also being like, what is going on? But because you forget, although it's very clear you are signing up to do a show where you're competing against the other woman, and time again you're like, why don't these women understand that they are going up against other women? But then when you put in the factors of like, okay, they're there for weeks at a time, the only guy they're seeing is Matt James, they got their sights set, like, people are gonna get their claws out. But Michelle obviously had the right idea, and I think now Rachel's probably like, yeah, that was probably the right way to act.
Rachel definitely got into
Michelle
her
said.
head, obviously.
Yeah.
There was a spiral.
Sure.
There was a spiraling happen, which only gets exaggerated more when they make the one who is spiraling go last. You know, like,
Of
it's
course,
like always on purpose. It's like, all right, let's put the one that seems the most fragile right now in the moment, and have her watch the other women go on these dates, which is exactly what they did. And she definitely was struggling after Michelle's date, struggling even more after Bree's date. Let's talk about Bree's date before we do that.
Let's talk about imperfect foods. We've all been there. You know, you don't want to go grocery shopping. You don't want to leave your apartment. You're feeling lazy. The store, why would we do that? Absolutely not. But we have a solution with Imperfect Foods. They can help. Get ready to enjoy grocery shopping once again. Imperfect Foods is on a mission to reimagine grocery delivery for a kinder, less wasteful world. They deliver sustainable, affordable groceries, including produce, quality protein, you guys know I can't speak today, eggs and dairy, pantry staples, straight to your door. Plus, they are always adding fun and tasty new discoveries or snacks into your basket, which
Very
is always
yummy.
a fun surprise. You always want a fun, tasty treat. All you have to do is sign up, create your flexible, personalized grocery plan, and then shop online each week and get affordable and sustainable groceries delivered directly to your door. So what I'm saying is you won't have to go anywhere for your groceries. That's literally
Especially
the best thing
in New
the entire
York, it's
world.
the best because,
oh my
like,
God, you gotta
if
walk.
If the grocery store's not close, you gotta lug all your
miserable.
groceries. It's
Miserable.
impossible.
You
It's
gotta
actually sometimes it's physically impossible.
Yeah, it really
That's
is. I
why.
order cases of water for myself. That's like my one thing I do is I do like the case of water.
Yep.
I know people are going to kill me for that, but I can't carry that up my stairs. There's no way.
No.
Yeah, you can't. And especially, you know, all these, like, what you want to go to the store and then there's a lot of things that you want, but then you're like, oh, I can't get that right now because I can't carry it back. Not with Imperfect Foods. They've got you covered, and now we have you covered because right now Imperfect Foods is offering our listeners 20% off plus free shipping on your first order when you go to imperfectfoods.com and make sure to use code CHICKS20. Once again, imperfectfoods.com. Get 20% off plus free shipping using code CHICKS20. Try Imperfect Foods now, and for a limited time, like I said, 20% off imperfectfoods.com and free shipping when you use code CHICKS20.
Bree's date. Another one. It's the fantasy suites were interesting. The day portions of them. Because
Agreed.
it felt like they balled out for some of these dates during the season. And then for the fantasy suite dates, it was like camping, oat baths and butter and pottery. Like, where's
like
the hot air balloon?
Yeah.
Where's the carnival? Like, did they use up all the good ideas?
Yeah,
at the
they took
beginning?
all the extra stuff that they like didn't use,
Yeah.
and then they shoved it all together into the Fantasy Suites episode.
Right. And I guess maybe they wanted to be more real. I don't know. But Bree and Matt went camping, kind of. Like, they didn't, for the day, they put on their big backpacks and they walked through the woods. And
Was that supposed to be, I feel like I missed this, but was that supposed to be a joke by Matt? Like I know at one point was like, I'm having Bree wear this backpack and I'm bringing all this stuff, and little does she know I have no idea how to go camping. Like, I thought there was going to be some big like surprise, haha, I don't know shit, but I feel like that didn't.
I think it was just that they weren't actually sleeping. Like, they weren't actually camping, right? Like, it was like, here's the bags, here's the tent, let's set it up. Like, let's make it seem like we're actually sleeping in this tent tonight, when in reality that wasn't the case. So maybe that was the point of it. They seem like they had a fun time. It sucks because I really felt like Bree and Matt had the most like playful relationship, cracking jokes with each other, very funny. He called her Dora the Explorer in her little backpack, which I laughed at. Like, it's just they seem like they bounce off each other really well. But maybe Matt felt that in more of a friend way. I don't know.
I thought that Bree's backpack was as big as her body. He
It
handed that
was.
to her, and
It
I was
was.
like, if somebody
So she's
handed
gonna
me a
fall
bag
over.
like that, there's no way. I'd be like, I quit right here. I'm going to send myself home because
I'm
there's
sure
no
she
way I'm
had
going to hike
some
to the woods
bigger
with this
dreams for that
40-pound
date.
backpack. For sure.
Yeah.
I just feel like each date was kind of the same in some ways.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything that really stood out for
Same
each one
formula.
of them. It was kind of the same formula for each. They talked about the same things. We got to learn a little bit more about Matt this episode just because I feel like during the season we didn't learn about him at all, literally at all. So we got to learn more about him. We got to see him talk to these women about some serious things about his life, and then it was the same date over and over again. No pizzazz.
Yeah.
And Bree went home, but it was kind of like a toss up for any of them to be going home.
Yeah.
I felt like, it doesn't, I think from what we're seeing at this point now, it does seem like his connection with Michelle is stronger. Right.
Yes.
But I just have a feeling that's not the way this is going. Like, for some reason, the way that Rachel was so upset and then just also seemed so confident in their relationship. And even though Michelle's confident about it too, I'm getting vibes that this is going south really fast. Like, it's about to hit a cliff when we go to the finale and then just dive straight off.
Oh, well, definitely.
That's for sure.
It already is.
Yeah.
But it's really gonna hit next week when we see what happens, because what the fuck are they gonna do?
If he proposes to Rachel, we're all just going to be sitting there
it's
like
gonna be a nightmare.
Yeah,
I have
like, this
feeling
is
that
a nightmare.
I have a
What is
feeling
gonna happen?
That his relationship with Michelle is very mature. Like, it's very realistic.
And
like,
that
that's how
scares
it
him.
should be. Like, you should be comfortable, but she's not going to be like propose to me right now. If there's a ring in your pocket, like right this minute, propose to me. Like, Michelle's not going to do that. She's comfortable in their relationship. She doesn't need that like reassurance all the time.
I'm getting Hannah Ann vibes
from Rachel.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just like, marry me.
Totally.
I'm on the show to get married, and
and it's
we'll
like
get
it just
married
seems
at any
like
point.
a less mature relationship, which I don't think Matt but it's also can seem more appealing because it's like this girl is throwing herself at you.
You
She's
just
all
had
over you.
that
She loves
instant
you and
attraction
whatever.
to her too. Like,
Also
he
that.
can't really shake that. It just feels like from the beginning he had this instant pull to her, and regardless of how far his other relationships have progressed, like, it's always seems like he's thinking about Rachel or worried about Rachel. So
How about
I don't know. It's tough, and especially like Bree. I don't know. I thought Bree was so great, and Bree and Matt made like a really great couple, but I don't know. I think Matt's got his
Michelle being a second round girl, you know, she came in good for her, making all the way to the final
I know.
two. She came in second group of people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for her.
And I think it's also just from the way the season has been paced. And we talked about this so many times that it didn't feel like any love stories were developing till later on in the episodes. So now that we're at the end, every relationship still feels like it's very early on, which of course it is, but The Bachelor is very good at making us think like, oh my God, these people are in love, they're getting married, they're going to be together forever. Like that's the magic that they can do. But right now I don't feel that way with any of them, even Matt. Like it doesn't feel like Matt really necessarily wants to be engaged. Like it just kind of feels like he's picking someone to date and they're in this very early on intro, like, okay, who do I want to be my girlfriend? It doesn't really feel like who do I want to be my fiance.
I feel like Matt did more work on himself this season than he did in like finding a wife. I feel like he grew a lot personally
and learned about himself and learned about what he wanted, and now maybe after he needs to date all these
find
women.
A great girlfriend.
Now after this, he can find some
Heather Martin.
There is a theory going around on the World Wide Web that Matt and Heather are together. So.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
And I brought this up on Cutting Stems last night that although this theory is outrageous and ridiculous, and why would Matt James be with Heather at this point, I'm getting vibes that Matt James is more innocent than people would think about him. You know, he's very hot, he's sexy, but I don't think that he has sex with multiple women. Like I don't think he's a playboy.
I don't think he had sex with any of these women.
Neither do I. I don't get that vibe at
Michelle,
all.
I
Like I feel like maybe him and Heather can relate in that way because we know that she didn't even have her first kiss until Colton's season. So who knows if she has had sex or not at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe I feel like that's something that could be pulling them together. Their religion, like I don't know.
Yeah.
And
no, their faith is very important to both of them.
Right. So it's like maybe they bonded over that. Maybe after she left, they got in touch. You know, people were saying they were 5 minutes away from each other or 6 minutes away from each other in a certain
Instagram stories.
Instagram stories in California.
Heather was Instagram storying from a coffee shop, and someone on the internet realized that Matt James, the skateboard park that he was at the same time or the same day, was only 6 minutes away from the coffee shop. Somebody did that like Google Math for us.
And why would
they
be 6 minutes away from each other
and not together
and not hang out? Why?
Right.
So who knows what's going on with that? I'm excited to find out.
Yeah,
I think. Oh my God, next week's going to be something. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad, but it for sure will be something.
Yes,
it will be something to watch.
So much
we got
drama.
Barb from Pete. We're getting
Barb's gonna be there?
No, I mean from like I'm talking past Bachelors. Barb showing up.
They should
She's
bring
actually
Barb back.
They should bring her.
and just for the
to stir some
audience.
shit up. Yeah.
Just for some comedic relief. It is going to be very serious. I think
It's going to be serious.
It's going to be very serious.
But I'm ready for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Bring it
I
on.
think
Me
like
too.
the conversation that they're going to have with Rachel, and also like the conversation that we're going to see with Matt and Rachel, like
About
regardless of if
She's
Rachel is the
definitely gonna
one
be
that
on it, right?
wins,
Rachel
they
will sure be
always
on it?
bring the runner
Rachel
up.
will have to be on it.
Yeah,
She's
right?
on,
She's
she's
the
the runner.
winner.
They always bring up
it's
the
Rachel
runner up,
and Michelle,
even if
like
she doesn't win or whatever,
regardless,
she wins
they'll
or
both
not.
be there.
I
sure.
I feel like I for some reason until just now didn't think that Rachel was going to be there at all. Like I thought that she was like wiped clean, like no more, just because of all the drama.
I don't
like
think
I didn't
so at all. I think if Rachel wasn't
If
there,
she
people would
wins,
hate
she
her.
she has to be there.
Yeah,
Right,
they're not like gonna-
you would think, but I don't
Yeah.
know. That's why I was
100%.
Interesting. Okay.
100%. There's
I mean,
no.
I hope so, of course.
What I would not watch. If they were like
It would be
Rachel's
crazy if she
not
wasn't
going to
there.
be
You're right.
there,
No, it would
and they're
be
not going to
insane.
talk about
Yeah.
Rachel. What?
Yeah.
What do?
That's true.
No,
Emmanuel's also there to like get to have these
Exactly.
conversations,
That's
and I
true.
feel like that's 100%.
What a tough
I think
spot.
Rachel's going to be
I
there.
feel like for her, can I say that? I feel like we're not allowed to like be nice to Rachel right now, but I feel like that's such a huge.
Well, it's something that she has
Yeah,
to have.
she's
She
gotta
has
deal
to do
with
it.
it.
Right,
Like,
she has to do it.
She
for
really
sure,
doesn't
but
have a choice
how
because
nervous
this is
are
how
you? How
it's
nervous
gone.
are you as Rachel right now?
If we're
Like,
talking about just like the prepping standpoint, she's probably doing a lot of prepping.
She's gotta be
She's
doing a
like,
lot of
what
prepping.
is-
100%.
But like,
she's
I
not
don't
really
feel
media
bad at all.
trained, you know? She's not really media trained.
She's had
She's
like
not like
months to train though. Like for
Yeah,
this.
Yeah,
She's
this
been
has been
true,
good,
true.
right?
She
Like,
knew this
and
was
if she was the winner, like she's known for forever that this is how this was going to
Yeah,
end,
that's true.
right? So,
Well,
Right.
although
She's
we
known
did
for months
see
now.
did see Anna know for months that she had to have a conversation, and she blew that right the
This
fuck
is
up.
a bit.
So.
This is
Yeah.
not
This
a
is
bit more.
bigger.
This is a
This
lot
is
more
bigger.
serious
Wait,
than that.
for
So
sure. For
I
sure.
feel like who knows what's gonna happen. Like I said, who knows what will happen, but it's gonna be something.
That's gonna be
absolutely,
wild.
they're
Wow.
going to have the conversations, and It's good. And it's interesting because Rachel's fantasy date was just like another one that was just like kind of boring. They did the ghost thing. They had their date. She said she was in love with him too. He said, let's kiss. Thanks. Like my favorite part of this whole episode was Matt, like, and this is where Matt, I feel like, is still not uncomfortable, but is awkward sometimes in his relationships. And it made me laugh. Like Rachel walking into their date during the day. She looked like she was kicked in the face. Like but the way, like, she looked down, had this sad face, like she wasn't smiling at him. It was like the whole week of watching the other dates, and so she's all nervous. She's walking up slowly. She's not doing the run and jump into his arms. Like there's no big dramatic hello. And you watch Matt's face, like first he's really excited. Then he's like, oh, she doesn't look excited. And then he's like, smile is like, uh-oh. And then he does the lip bite. And then he does the palms, his hands rubbing together. And he looks at her and just goes, it's been a while.
So he's just like.
Like sometimes I'm like, this guy.
His hand
cracks
rubs
me up. Yeah, he definitely had no idea what to say in the moment because he saw Rachel's face and was like, she does not look happy.
Nah.
So they got through that moment. She was very open with how she felt watching the other dates and things like that. And it seemed like she was okay. And whatever Matt said to her when the cameras were off, I feel like 100% gave her some reassurance, because going into the rose ceremony, she was like, oh, I'm 100% confident that like I will be getting a rose. Like she had no doubt in her mind, which makes me think that there was some serious pillow talk going on.
Yeah, for real.
Definitely.
Maybe they're the only people who had sex. Maybe he didn't have sex with the other two, and maybe they, and then she's like, oh,
maybe he told her that.
Well, this is what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
could
Like
be.
Matt, and he hasn't been on this show before, right? So he doesn't really like know what kind of protocol is at these times, like what is talked about. And so because I feel like he has more of that normal guy vibe, that in the fantasy suite, when all the cameras are gone and it's just them, I could totally see Matt saying to the girl that he picks, like, by the way, it's totally you. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we'll
For
just
sure.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
right? I feel like you have to.
We're gonna make this work. It's gonna be us. Like, don't worry about it. And maybe they talk about the proposal, or it is what it is. But I mean, Rachel's face afterwards, she had the biggest smile. Was like, I'm 100% confident. Like nobody in that moment is 100% confident unless you've heard directly from the person, like, I'm picking you.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
No,
you know who
for sure.
Who else? Oh no, it's Ben Higgins was the same way. There was always I always bring him up for this example, but he and I think Lauren at the time, everyone from that season, all the girls were like, yeah, they were like cupcaking all the time. Like all they were doing was just like flirting and holding hands. Like we all knew. We were basically we were just there as like
I think
filler
Nick and
people.
Vanessa had
We
a
all
very
knew.
similar situation too, where like Nick was like, everyone kind of realized it was her.
Yeah.
They try and make it seem like it's a toss up.
Yeah.
But I feel like
it
the
might not
people
be.
there, they know, and especially when the doors are closed, it's like, hey, wink, wink, like
For sure.
Yeah.
it's definitely you. So kind of felt like we were getting that vibe when they were all getting ready for the rose ceremony. So let's talk about the rose ceremony. Before we do that, just, every woman on this show put together, they're looking good. Feel like a lot of them might have some eyelash extensions. Feel like that's a very popular cosmetic thing right now. You get the extensions.
I was just
you want
thinking
the
about
look.
eyelashes this morning. My eyelashes
Yes.
are not
Well,
doing it for me these days.
Kelly, I got a great solution for
Fabulous.
you. I really do. You don't have to worry about going through the process of getting the extensions, getting the things like that. You can go on to Rory, which is, the sister of Roman, and you can go on Rory. They have a clinically proven eyelash growth serum that's available online by prescription. The clinical trials show eyelashes grew by 25% in length, 106% in fullness, and 18% in darkness by 16 weeks. Getting a prescription, super easy. You go right online, fill out the paperwork. There's no trip to the dermatologist. You can get it sent right to you. Like, you can do it while you're watching The Bachelor. During commercial breaks, you go online, you can just fill it out, you're good to go. You'll create a Rory account, answer standard questions about your eye health and medical history. After you submit your information, a Rory-affiliated healthcare professional will get back to you within 24 hours. If prescribed, you'll get fast and free 2-day shipping from Rory and ongoing support from a healthcare professional. Every order comes with a Rory-branded pouch, which is also great. You can keep makeup brushes and other cosmetics in there as well. For a free online visit and free 2-day shipping, head over to hellorory.com/chicks. That's Hello Rory, RORY.com/chicks. All right, rose ceremony. Why do you think all the women were in black? Do you think that was planned, or they just all had black dresses ready for this rose ceremony?
I don't think I even noticed that.
Oh, all three of them were in black dresses. Huh. Long black dresses.
I don't know. Maybe it was just
maybe they all decided together. They were like, oh, we all have...
Like, they're all living together. Yeah. Like, they're all in, it feels like in the same place. So did they all get,
also, I wonder how many dresses do they have left, you know?
Right.
Like they're all at the end, and I can't imagine at this point you're like, borrowing dresses. I feel maybe in the beginning,
it's only the finale, right?
Like,
that the two girls get dresses for them, like picked for them. Not picked for them, but the stylist helps them.
I think
for the finale they do, but that's it.
Yeah. For maybe even for Fran, I really don't know, because I feel like I've seen girls talk about how, like, how difficult it is to pack for everything, and pack for pack for that kind of situation. But I would hope that they have a little help for the finale.
Yeah. Well, all three women were in black dresses. Michelle got the first rose, and like I said, Michelle and Brie both seemed nervous. Rachel, confident as could be. Matt looked very nervous, but Michelle got the first rose, and then Rachel got the second rose. So that's the finale. Brie was sent home, and it was a very calm breakup. I feel like Brie had some doubt in her mind, regardless of how great maybe their date was. She had said last week, I got the last rose. I feel like that's not a good sign. So I feel like she definitely maybe had some doubt in her mind anyway. And he was like, look, it's the same breakup every time. It's not you, it's me. You're great. The connection's not there. The connection's stronger with the other women. Have a nice life.
Yeah. I think that she took it fine. She, I think I said that before, how she said something along the lines of like, I can't be angry, but I can be upset and like hurt. But like, I don't blame you. I'm not like upset at you. I'm just upset about the situation, which I feel like that's the only response you can have, right? It's like, this sucks. But
what is she going to stomp her feet and yell on her way out?
Totally.
Exactly. The only response you can have is like, okay, this is sad, but I gotta go.
In her head, she's probably like, can I get my job back? Like, she quit her dream job is what she had said to come on the show.
Of course, always the dream.
She'll be okay, I think.
I think that she'll be fine.
I hope so. I really think that, I know we're in this weird limbo right now with The Bachelorette. We don't know what's happening. It is Katie. It's not Katie. It's back being Katie. We don't know. There's nothing set in stone. A lot of people are campaigning for Brie, for Michelle, Abigail. So I feel like Brie should have a good chance of being the Bachelorette if possible. I felt like she never really got like all the way with Matt, where I totally could believe by the time they start filming in a couple weeks that Brie is like ready to find someone and date. Sometimes that's hard to believe when it's like so quick after the Bachelor.
Yeah, you need the what do they always call it? Like the grieving period. Yeah, they try to buffer
People
it in.
think they move on too fast, the whole thing. But I could totally see her being able to do that, and she is like so cool. Somebody tweeted me comparing her to Kourtney Kardashian, and I actually kind of like that comparison. Like, just from a cool girl vibe, like chill, down to hang, down to do whatever, like fun, but it's also kind of like sarcastic and has like good jokes. I feel like I was like, I like that comparison. That was good.
She has a calming vibe about her.
100%.
She's calming. She's like, seems like she's got her shit together. She is somebody I think that I would look towards in a crisis situation. Say I'm sitting in a room and she's here, some shit goes down, I'd be like, Brie, what do we do? Yeah. So what do you think about this? What should we do? That's how I feel about Brie.
She does seem like she would give great advice.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like definitely a calming way about her. So I hope she's in consideration for the Bachelorette. I don't know when we're going to find out who's going to be the Bachelor. I guess maybe in the finale.
I hope in the finale. Yeah.
I hope so. Give us it all in the finale. Give us all the answers.
Give us a taste.
I feel like they would want to take away from like the big, like there's so much else going on that night.
Right.
That's a
like
good
they're
point.
not going to try to take away and be like, oh, also,
well, it depends on who it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
if
might
it was-
add
If
to.
it's Katie, they're not announcing it on the
Yeah,
live
You're right.
show.
Yeah,
You're
that
absolutely
makes
right.
sense.
They'll probably, if they don't announce on the live show, I'm sure it will hit like Good Morning America a
Yeah.
week later
Yeah.
or something like that.
Or
Kind
the
of like
next day.
Yeah, or the next day, honestly. Kind of like, I think that's how they announced Ari, right? He was like randomly one
Yeah.
morning, they're like, by the way, here's The Bachelor. It's
Yeah.
Ari. Google him.
So,
okay.
that was a
Will do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. We really don't have any inside information on how this after the final rose is going down. We do know it's been, I guess it's filming. I keep thinking it's over, but I feel like it's now being done maybe this week or is now close to being over, because when they had said Emmanuel Acho was doing it, they had to push production back a week because they had got him to sign on. So then he was doing it later. And I feel like they've pushed The Bachelorette from starting a few weeks down the line now than when it was supposed to start. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. The finale, the preview. I don't know if Matt is going to propose. I feel like his panic attack on the sidewalk while he's talking to Chris Harrison is like, I don't really know if I should be like full blown getting engaged.
Yeah, he might have a moment where he's realizing he's on like a game show, essentially.
Right.
Like he seems to be close enough to reality that he might not be swayed, you know?
Right.
Like and like kind of like you said before about
Hasn't
how he
been on
hasn't
the
been on the show before.
yeah.
There's nothing
Yeah.
really like he can still talk himself down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we'll see what happens. I almost said Rochelle. Michelle and Rachel, the final two. We're here. It's almost over.
I'm so tired, man. I
Yeah.
am so tired of the show. And
Years off my life.
I said
Yeah.
too, though it's different this time, and we have to remember this for next season or seasons to come. We won't
Yeah.
be this fatigued because we had Bachelorette and Bachelor back up right into each other.
Yeah.
There was no break. There was, I think, 1 week in between.
yeah, there
Yeah, it
was
was
1 week.
1
So
week.
it was like, 12 weeks and 12 weeks. It's just so many
And
weeks.
the break is
and we need a break.
perfect because every single time the season ends, we're like, woo,
Yeah.
season ended. We're tired.
Exactly.
Great season. It's over. Well, if it's a great season or not a great season.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have some time to recharge. And when it starts again, we're like, yes, it's starting again.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We're excited.
the battery slowly gets
Yeah,
drained.
yeah, we
Yeah,
need
yeah.
it because the
battery's running on
break
empty.
between
Yeah.
the two seasons was definitely not long enough. There's been a lot that went down this season, a lot of serious conversations, a lot of serious conversations outside of the show that they are having with how they move forward for the future. We'll see what happens coming up, but I am excited for the finale. We're finally here. It is happening.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the finale. I think that the finale is going to be explosive, truly.